एतन्मे संशयं कृष्ण चेतुम् अर्हसि अशेतः त्वदन्यः समस्यसे चेतने हि उपपद्यते. Translation: This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for yourself, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. Next. Text 40. Shri Bhagavanovacha Partha naiva namutra vinashastasya vidiyate nahi kalyana krit kaschid durgatim tata gachati. Translation: The blessed Lord said, Son of Partha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction, either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Next. Text 40. Prapya punyakritam lokan ustitva sasvati samma suchinam smritam gehe yoga भ्रष्टो विजीयते. Translation: The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into the family of rich aristocracy. Purport: The unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is fallen after very little progress, and one is fallen after long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life, uh, after prolonged life, there he is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of righteous Brahmana, Vaishnava, or of an aristocrat merchants. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and fail due to material allurements are allowed, by the grace of Lord, to make full utilization of their material propensities, and there that they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in righteous and aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. Text 42. अथवा योगिनम् एव कुले भवाति धीमतम् एतादिह दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्. Translation: Or he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Verily, such a birth is rare in this world. Text 43. तत्र तं बुद्धिसंयोगं लभते पौर्वदेशिकं यते च ततो य संसिधाकुरनन्दन. Translation. On taking such a birth, he again revives the divine consciousness of his previous life and he tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. O son of Kuru. Text 44. पूर्वभयसने तेन नवऋत्य हि अवासोऽपि जिज्ञासुर अपि योगस्य शब्दो ब्रह्मातिव्रते. Translation. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles even without seeking them in such an inquisitive transcendentalist. Striving for yoga stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Uh, Text 45. प्रयत्नत यथा मानस्तु योगी संस्तुता किल्बिष अनेक जन्मासमाधिस्ततो यति परम गतिम. Translation. But when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contamination, then ultimately after many, many births of practices, he attains the supreme goal. Text 46. माताजी द्वारा. तपस्विभ्यो दिखो योगी जनानि भियोऽपि मतो दिक्खः कर्मभियास चधिको योगी तस्मद् योगी भवर्जुना. Translation. A yogi is greater ascetic greater than the empirist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. Text 47. Yoginam api sarvesham madgat in tartmana श्रद्धावान् भजेत यो मां समयुक्तात्ममतः. Translation. And of all yogis, he who is always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Purport. The word bhajte is a significant here. Bhajate has its roots in the verb bhaj, which is used when there is need of services. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaja. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor the worthy one, but service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous, but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned it. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls down. The Bhagavatam confirmed this as follows: Ya yesham purusham sakshat atma prabhavam ishvaram na bhajati avajanti tarad bharasta patanti ada. Anyone who does not render services and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. In this verse also, the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, bhajanti is apply, applicable to the Supreme Lord only, where is the word worship can be applied to the demigods or to any other common living entity. The word avajananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avanti mana muda. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship. The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in bhakti yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of bhakti. In bhakti yoga, yoga actually means bhakti yoga. All other yogas are progressions towards the destination of bhakti yoga, from the beginning of karma yoga to the end of bhakti yoga, in a long way of self-realization. Karma yoga without fruitive results is the beginning of this path. When karma yoga increases in knowledge and renunciations, the stage is called jnana yoga. When jnana yoga increases in meditation on the super soul by different physical propositions, and the mind is on him, it is called Ashtanga Yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, it is called Bhakti Yoga. The culmination, factually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand other yogas. The yoga who is progressive in, therefore, on the truth path of eternal good fortune, one who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by the particular name Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Dhyana Yoga, Raj Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all the other yogas. Therefore, it becomes Krishna. Therefore, to become Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of yoga. Just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. It is by the great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga. uh, to become well situated according to the Vedic direction, the ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who is called Shyam Sundara, who is a beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded, illuminating all sides in his gorgeous, uh, gorgeous luster, which is called Brahmajyoti. He incarnates in different forms such as Rama, Narasimha, Vara, and Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, and he descends like a human being as the son of Mother Yashoda, and he is known as Krishna, Govinda, and Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he is full with the opulences those of the Lord. He is called the highest yogi. This stage of high, okay, and he is full with the opulences and transcendental qualities. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called highest yogi. This stage of highest perfection in yoga can be attained only by bhakti yoga, as it is confirmed in all Vedic literature. यस्य देव परा भक्तिर यथा देव तथा गुरौ तस्यते कथित हि अर्थ प्रकसन्ते महात्मनः. Only up to those great souls who have implied faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Bhaktir asya bhajanam tadit trupadi nirasam muslimin mana kalpam ita eva nashkaryam. Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord, which is free from desires for material profits, either in this life or in the next. Devoid for such inclination, one should fully absorb the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Nashkarmiya. These are some of the means of performance of bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of yoga system. Thus, the end of Bhakti Vedanta purports to the sixth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavata, Bhagavad Gita is the matter of Sankhya Yoga Brahma Vidya. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. नमो श्रीयुताय कृष्ण पृष्ठ भूतले श्रीमद् भक्ति स्वामी रामने श्री गौरव श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासी गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्ण गुरुदेव हरे कृष्ण एवरीवन जय श्री प्रभुपाद जय गौरंग सुनदास गुरुदेव जी all goes to the devotees all goes to Srila Prabhupada all goes to uh, Gauranga Sundadas Gurudev all goes to all devotees Hare Krishna.
Shambhala Mataji, are you coming? Shambhala Mataji.
Krishna Mataji, Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Shri Saraswati Gurudev. Full Mataji. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी प्रश्नतेष्टतारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्ण कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम नाम गुरुवे नमः श्रीकृष्ण मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मां स्वपदान्तादिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरु वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं साग्र रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सागण ललिता शवशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पति गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवे प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पांचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यो वचपतितनं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसारि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम राम हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Chapter 7 Bhagavad Gita, Knowledge of the Absolute. Text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Mai Asakta Manaha Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashraya Asamash Asamamshayam Samagram Mam Yata Jnanasi Tachrunu. Translation. Now hear, O son of Pratap, Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Text 2. ज्ञानं ते हम स विज्ञानम् इदं वाक्ष्यामि अशेषतः यद् ज्ञात्वा नेह भूयोऽन्यज् ज्ञात्वा यम् अवशिष्यते. Translation. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and nominal, by knowing which there shall remain nothing further to be known. Text 3. मनुष्यां सहस्रेषु कश्चिद्याताति सिद्धये यथा यथा ताम् अपि सिद्धानां काश्चिन्मम वेत्ति तत्त्वतः. Translation. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Purport. There are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first six chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, and discrimination of the self from matter. However, Krishna can known by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier understanding Krishna. Krishna is a supreme person, but at the
Shambhala Mataji, you are not audible. Please check.
Mataji, now I'm audible?
Yes, now you are audible.
Sorry, Mataji. He is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although greatest of the impersonalists, Shripad Shankaracharya had admitted in the Gita commentary that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. His followers do not accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadhiradhira Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy as the non-devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti may be easy, but when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, श्रुति स्मृति पुराणादि पंचरात्र विधिम विना ऐकांतिका ऐकांतिकी हरिर भक्तिर उपात या वेह kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, Narad Pancha Ratra, etc., is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Yashoda or the charioteer of Arjuna. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muyanti yat surayah mam to Veda na kashtana. No one knows me as I am, the Lord says. And if one does know him, then Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, he cannot know Krishna as he is, Tatvataha, even though one is a great scholar or philosopher. Only the pure devotees can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities in Krishna and the cause of all causes om- in his omnipotence and opulence, and in his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet graham indriya sevonmukhe hi jivvadu swayam eva sprutaya adaha. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Loving service unto him. Padma Puran. Purport and translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Text 4. भूमिर अपो नालो वायु काम मनो बुद्धिर एवच अहंकार इति याम में भिन्न प्रकृतिर अष्टदा. Translation: Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these eight compromise my separated material energies. Text 5. अपारेहम इतस्तु अपारेहम इतस्त्व अन्याम प्रकृतिम विधि में परम जीवभूता महाबाहो यद्यम धारयते जगत. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Besides this inferior nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy
हरे
of
कृष्ण
mind which
माता जी फोर्थ पोर्पट भी रीड करना है आई थिंक
uh, 4 is also important.
या 3 4 5 7 14 15
Okay, okay. In the text which Madhav Priya Mataji sent, 4 was not there. Okay, I'll read it. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Uh, Text 4. Bhumir apo nalo vayu काम मनो बुद्धिर एवच अहंकार इति याम में भिन्न प्रकृतिर अष्टदा. Translation: Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 comprise my separated material energies. Purport: by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and His divine diverse energies. Material nature is called Prakriti, or the energy of the Lord in His different Purusha incarnations, expansions, as described in the Swatavata Tantra. Vishnu's तु त्रीणि रूपाणि पुरुषायनि अतो विदु एकान्तु महातो शस्त्रे दिव्यं त अन्धसमस्थितं तृतीयं सर्वभूतस्थं तानि ज्ञात्वा विमुच्यते. For material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes 3 Vishnus. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy known as Mahatattva. The second, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, enters into all the universe to create diversities in each of them. The third, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, is diffused as the all pervading supersoul in all the universes and is known as Paramatma, who is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these 3 Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. This material world is a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these 3 Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna. These Puranas, so these Purushas are called incarnations. Generally, one who does not know the signs of God Krishna assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities and that the living entities are causes, Purushas, controllers, and enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagavad Gita, this atheistic conclusion is false. In the verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of the material manifestation. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this. The ingredients of the material manifestation are separated energies of the Lord. Even the Brahma Jyoti, which is the ultimate goal of the impersonalist, is a spiritual energy manifested in the spiritual sky. There are no spiritual diversities in Brahma Jyoti as there are in the Vaikuntha Lokas, and the impersonalist accepts this Brahma Jyoti as the ultimate eternal goal. The Paramatma manifestation is also a temporary, all pervasive aspect of the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. The Paramatma manifestation is not eternal in the spiritual world. Therefore, the factual absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He is the complete energetic person and he possesses different separated and internal energies. In the material energy, the principal manifestations are 8, as above mentioned. Out of these, the first 5 manifestations, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are called the 5 gigantic creations or the gross creations within which the 5 sense objects are included. There are the manifestations. There are the manifestations of physical sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Material science comprises these 10 items and nothing more. But the other 3 items, namely mind, intelligence, false ego, are neglected by the materialists. Philosophers who deal with the mental activities are also not perfect in knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. The false ego, I am, and it is mine, which constitute the basic principle of material existence, includes the 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligence refers to the total material creation called the Mahatattva. Mahatattva. Therefore, from the 8 separated energies of the Lord are manifest the 24 elements of the material world, which are the subject matter of Sankhya atheistic philosophy. There are originally offshoots from Krishna's energy and are separated from him. But atheistic Sankhya philosophers with a poor fund of knowledge do not know Krishna is the cause of all causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankhya philosophy is only the manifestation of external energy of Krishna as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Panchakalpatra Kripa Sindhabhya Vachapatitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Sorry, Mataji. Actually, I saw wrong message. Sorry, Madhav Priya Mataji. Text 5. Apareham itastva anyam praktre प्रकृतिं विधि मे परां जीवभूतां महाबाहो यायेदं धारयते jagat. Translation. By His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, besides this inferior nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind, which are all living entities who are struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. Purport. By His divine grace, Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature or energy of the Supreme Lord, that the inferior energy is matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Both forms of material nature, namely gross, earth, etc., and subtle mind, etc., are products of the inferior energy. The living entities who are exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes are the superior energy of the Supreme Lord, and it is due to this energy that the entire material world functions. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by the superior energy, the living entity. Energies are always controlled by the energetic, and therefore, living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence, they are never equally powerful as unintelligent men think. The distinction between the living entities and the Lord is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as follows: 10th canto, 87th chapter, 30th verse. Aparimitha durvas tanu brito yadi sarvas gatas tarihim na shashayati niyamo durvasa नेतरात् अज्ञान च यम्यां तद अविमोचय न्यांत्र भवेत् समम अनुजात्वम यद अमंतम मत दुष्टताय. O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living entities were eternal and all pervading like you, then they would not be under your control. But if the living entities are accepted as minute energies of your lordship, then they are at once subject to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In that constitutional position, only can they be controllers. Therefore, men with limited knowledge who advocate the monastic theory that God and the living entities are equal in all respects are actually misleading themselves and others. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the only controller, and all living entities are controlled by him. These living entities are his superior energy because the quality of their existence is one and the same with the Supreme, but they are never equal to the Lord in quantity of power. While exploiting the gross and subtle inferior energy matter, the superior energy, the living entity, forgets his real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon the living entity. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of the illusory material energy, he attains a stage called mukti or liberation. The false ego, under the influence of material illusion, thinks, I am matter and material acquisitions are mine. His actual position is realized when he is liberated from all material ideas, including the conception of his becoming one in all respects with God. Therefore, one may conclude that the Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi energies of Krishna, and when this energy is free from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna consciousness. Sorry, it becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated. Text 6. एतद्योहिनि भूतानि सर्वानिति उपाधराय अहं कृतास्नय जगता प्रभव प्रलास्ततः. Translation. By His divine grace, Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both its origin and dissolution. Purport. By His divine grace, Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is the basic field of creation, and matter is created by spirit. Spirit is not created at a certain stage of material development. Rather, this material world is manifested only on the basis of spiritual energy. This material body is developed because spirit is present within matter. A child grows gradually to boyhood and then to manhood because of that superior energy. Spirit soul being present. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of the gigantic universe is developed because of the presence of the super soul Vishnu. Therefore, spirit and matter, which combine together to manifest the gigantic universe, universal form are originally two energies of the Lord, and consequently, the Lord is the original cause of everything. A fragmental part and parcel of the Lord, namely the living entity, may by manipulation of material energy construct a skyscraper, factory, or city, but he cannot create matter out of nothing. And he certainly cannot construct a planet or a universe. The cause of the universe is the super soul, Krishna, the supreme creator of all individual souls and the original cause of all causes, as the Katha Upanishad confirms, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. Text 7. Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchid Asti Dhananjaya Mai Sarvam Idam Proktamam Shrute Mani Gana Ihva. Translation: O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. There is a common controversy over whether the Supreme Absolute Truth is personal or impersonal. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the Absolute Truth is the personality of God as Shri Krishna, and this is confirmed in every step. In this verse, in particular, it is stressed that the Absolute Truth is a person, that the personality of God is the Supreme Absolute Truth, is also the affirmation of the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Paramakrishna Sachidananda Vigraha. That is the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. These authorities leave no doubt that the absolute truth is the supreme person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalist, however, argues on the strength of the Vedic version given in the Shweta Vatara Upanishad, tad yad उत्तरात्तरं तद अरूपम अनामयम यद विदुर अमृतास्ते भवन्ति अतेतरे दुःखम evapi yanti. In the material world, Brahma, the primeval living entity within the universe, is understood to be the supreme amongst the demigods, human beings, and lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is a transcendence who has no material form and is free from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental, but those who do not know him suffer the miseries of the material world. The impersonalist puts more stress on the word arupam, but this arupam is not impersonal. It indicates the transcendental form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge as described in the Brahma Samhita quoted above. Other verses in the Shwetavatara Upanishad substantiate this as follows: वेदाहम एतं पुरुषं महान्तं आदित्यवर्णं तं स पृष्ठत् तम एव विद्वान् अमृत इह भवाति नान्य पंत विद्यते अन्यः यस्मात् परं नापरहम् अस्ति किंचित् यस्मान्यो न न्यायोऽस्ति kinchit. I know the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is transcendent to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest and is greater than the greatest. He is situated as a silent tree and he illumines the transcendental sky. And as a tree spreads its root, he spreads his extensive energies. From these verses, one concludes that the supreme absolute truth is the supreme personality of Godhead, who is all pervading by his multi energies, both material and spiritual. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Gauranga Sundaras Gurudev, Vanchakalpatra Bhishta Kripasindabhya Vachapatinam Pavani Vaishnavi Binamo Namaha, Vanchakalpatra Bhishta Kripasindabhya Vachapatinam Pavani Vaishnavi Binamo Namaha, Vanchakalpatra Bhishta Kripasindabhya Vachapatinam Pavani Vaishnavi Binamo Namaha. Sorry Gurudev for all the mistakes and thank you for giving me the opportunity Gurudev. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Rajpriya Mataji, are you coming? Nita Mataji, are you coming, Mataji?
So can I continue, Mataji?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, okay. Hare Krishna Gurudev, Hare Krishna everyone. Namo Vishnu Pada Krishna Krishna Bhutale Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namo Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pujarini Recitation Bhagavad Pasha Deshikarini Om Adhana Tindan Vajayana Jana Salakya Chakshi Manu Tumena Kasma Shri Guruve Namaste Chaitanya Manu Vishnu Pada Bhutale Swami Bhakti Swami Pada Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Bhagavatam Shri Guru Vaishnava Sri Rakam Chagri Rakam Chagri Rakam Chagri Siddham Sarvatam Sarvatam Parasam Satam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Bhakti Krishna Pada Sarvana Shri Vishwa Kami हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगत गोपीश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते सत्य कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी पुष्पानुसुते देवी करुणाकल्पति रुद्रस्य कृपा सिंधु दैवश पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो हे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 sloka 8 रसोऽहम् अप्सु कौन्तेय प्रभास्मि शशिशूरः प्रणवः सर्ववेदेषु शब्दः ते पुरुषं पौरुषं दृश्ये Translation O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in men. Purpose. These words explains how the Lord is all pervasive. Purpose 8 can you move up for text 8?
हरे कृष्ण माता जी पॉट वापस 14, 15 और 16 रीड करने हैं।
I was reading Sloka 8.
ओके 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 माता जी सॉरी
The purport alone, Mataji. I read Sloka in translation.
यस यस
Mataji, can you move to purport?
नहीं माता जी सारे पर्पट रीड नहीं करने हैं ना ये तो 7 चैप्टर है
No, this is also important Sloka. Mataji.
ओके ओके माता जी ओके सॉरी
No problem. This verse explains how the Lord is all pervasive by his diverse material and spiritual energies. The Supreme Lord can be preliminarily perceived by his different energies, and in this way he is related impersonally. As a demigod in the sun is a person and is perceived by his all pervading energy, the sun sense similarly, the Lord, although in his eternal abode, is perceived by his all pervading diffusive energies. The taste of water is the active principle of water. No one likes to drink seawater because the pure taste of water is mixed with salt. Attraction for water depends on the purity of the taste, and this pure taste is one of the energies of the Lord. The impersonalist perceives the presence of the Lord in water by its taste, and the personalist also glorifies the Lord for his kindly supplying water to quench men's thirst. That is the way of perceiving the Supreme. Practically speaking, there is no conflict between personalism and impersonalism. The one who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and there is no contradiction. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established that his sublime doctrine, Achinta Veda Advaita Tattva, is one and different. The sign that of the sun and the moon is originally emanating from the Brahma. It is the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. Similarly, Pranava or the Omkara, transcendental sound used in the beginning of every Vedanta hymn to address the Supreme Lord, also emanates from him. Because the impersonalists are very much afraid of addressing the Supreme Lord Krishna by his innumerable names. They prefer to vibrate the transcendental sound Omkara, but they do not realize that Omkara is a sound representation of Krishna. The jurisdiction of the consciousness extends everywhere, and who knows Krishna consciousness is blessed. Those who do not know Krishna are in illusion, and so the knowledge of Krishna is liberation, and ignorance of him is bondage. Sloka 9. Punyogandha पृथिव्यं च तेजश्चास्मि विभा वसौ जीव जीवनं सर्वभूतेषु तपश्चास्मि तपस्विषु. Translation: I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the nemesis of all ascetics. Sloka 10. बीजं मां सर्वभूतानां विद्धि पार्थ सनातनं बुद्धिर्बुद्धिमताम् अस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनाम् अहम्. Translation: O son of Partha, know that I am the original seed of all existences, the intelligence of intelligent and the prowess of all powerful men. Sloka 11. बलं बलवतं च अहं कामरागविवर्जितं धर्मविरुद्धो भूतेषु कामस्मि भरतर्षभ. Translation: I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am such life which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas. Sloka 12. एचैव सात्विका भाव राजसस्तामसश्चये मत्त एवेति तान् विद्धि नत्वा अहं तेजु ते मयि. Translation: All states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of this material nature. Sloka 13. त्रिभिर्गुणमयैर्भावैः तेभिः सर्वम् इदं जगत् मोहितं नाभिजानाति मां तेभ्यः परम् अव्ययम्. Translation: Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Sloka 14. दैवी हि एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मां एव हि प्रपद्यन्ते मायायुतं तरन्ति. Translation: This, this divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Purport: The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of His energies and are therefore divine due to contact with material nature, so material energy, their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to the contamination by inferior nature matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya-Baddha or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in the material history. Consequently, his release from clutches of Maya, material nature, is very difficult. It is a little bit of Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material nature is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, which which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined here as a divine nature due to its divine connection and divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirm that as follows: Mayam tu prakritim vidya, Mayinam tu Maheshwaram. Although Maya is false or temporary, the background of Maya is a superior, supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the supreme controller. Another meaning of Guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is not. He must be helped by a person who is unbound, because the bound cannot help the because the bound cannot help the bound. The rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the supreme the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be free from the bondage of material nature. Devotion service of Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the lord of the evolutionary energy, can order his insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causeless mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his paternal affection for the living entity who is originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stagnant material nature. The word Nam Eva are also significant. Nam means unto Krishna, Vishnu only, and not Brahma Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajoguna and Tamoguna to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he can alone give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas confirm that in this verse, Ram Eva Viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Shiva says, Mukti Pradhate Sarvesham Vishnu Evana Samshayaha. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Sloka 15. Namam Dushkritino Moda Prabhajanti Naradamah Maya Ek Pahrata Jnanam Ashudam Bhava Ashritaha. Translation: those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Purport. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that simply by surrendering oneself unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality, Krishna, one can surmount the stringent laws of material nature. At this point, a question arises: how is it that educated philosophers, scientists, businessmen, administrators, and all the leaders of ordinary men do not surrender to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the all powerful personality of Godhead? Mukti, or liberation from the laws of material nature, is sought by the leaders of mankind in different ways, and with great plans and perseverance for a great many years and births. But if that liberation is possible by simply surrendering to the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then why don't these intelligent and hardworking leaders adopt this simple method? The Gita answers this question very frankly. Those really learned leaders of society called Brahma, Shiva, Kapila, the Kumaras, Manu, Vyasa, Devala, Sita, Janaka, Prahlada, Bali, and later on Madhavacharya, Ramanujacharya, Sri Chaitanya, and many others who are faithful philosophers, politicians, educators, scientists, etc., surrender to the lotus feet of Supreme Person, the all-powerful authority. Those who are not actually philosophers, scientists, educators, administrators, etc., but who pose themselves as such for material gain, do not accept the plan or path of Supreme Lord. They have no idea of God. They simply manufacture their own worldly plans and consequently complicate the problems of material existence in their vain attempts to solve them. Because material energy, nature is so powerful. It can resist the unauthorized plans of atheists and baffle the knowledge of planning commissions. The atheist plan makers are described herein by the word Dushkritana or miscreants. Kripina means one who has performed meritorious works. The artist plan maker is sometimes very intelligent and meritorious also, because any gigantic plan, good or bad, must take intelligence to execute. But because that his brain is improperly utilized in opposing the plan of Supreme Lord, the artistic plan maker is called Duskritana, which indicates that his intelligence and efforts are misdirected. In the Gita, it is clearly mentioned that the material nature works fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. It has no independent authority. It works It works as shadow moves in accordance with the movement of object, but still material energy is very powerful, and the artist, due to his godless temperament, cannot know how it works, nor can he know the plan of the Supreme Lord. Under illusion and the mode of passion and ignorance, all his plans are baffled, as in case of Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, whose plans were smashed to dust, although they were both materially learned as scientists, philosophers, administrators, and educators. These Duskritas or miscreants are of four different patterns as outlined below. The Mudas, or those who are grossly foolish, like hardworking beasts of burden. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves, and so do not want to part with them for the supreme. The typical example of the beast of burden is as this humble beast is made to work very hard by his master. The ass do not really know for whom he works so hard day and night. He remains satisfied by filling his stomach with a bundle of grass, sleeping for a while under the fear of being beaten by his master, and satisfying his sex appetite at the risk of being repeatedly kicked by the opposite party. The ass sings poetry and philosophy sometimes, but his braying only disturbs others. This is position of foolish fruitful workers who do not know for whom he should work. He do not know the karma is meant for yajna. Most often, those who work very hard day and night to clear the burden of self-created duty say that they have no time to hear of the immortality of the living being. To such mudas, material gain, which are destructible, or lives all in all, despite the fact that the mudas enjoy only very small fraction of the fruit of labor. Sometimes they spend sleepless days and nights for the food to gain, and although they may have ulcers or indigestion, they are satisfied with practically no food. They simply observe them working hard day and night for the benefit of illusory masters, ignorant of their real master. The foolish workers waste their valuable time serving Mammon. Unfortunately, they never surrender to the supreme master of all masters, nor do they take time to hear of him from the proper sources. The swain who eat the soil do not pay to accept sweet meats made of sugar and ghee. Similarly, the foolish workers, which untiringly continue to hear the sense enjoyable tidings of the flickering mundane force that moves the material world. Another class of Duskritina or miscreant is called Naradhama, or the lowest of mankind. Nara means human being and Adhama means the lowest. Out of 84, 84 lakh different species of living beings, there are 4 lakh human species. Out of this, there are numerous lower forms of human life, and and they are mostly uncivilized. The
बताते
civilized
नहीं गए
human beings are those who have regulated principles of social, political, and religiously developed, but who have no religious principle must be considered Naradana. Nor is a religion without God principles must be considered. Nor is religion without God religion, because the purpose of following religious principles is to know the supreme truth and man's relation with him. In the Gita, the personality of Godhead clearly states that there is no authority above him and that he is the supreme truth. The uncivilized form of human life is meant for man's reviving the lost consciousness of his eternal relationship to the supreme truth, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is all powerful. Whoever loses his charms is classified as Naradama. We get information from the revealed scriptures that when the baby is in mother's womb, an extremely uncomfortable situation, he prays to God for the deliverance. What if you can deliverance and promises to worship him alone as soon as he gets out. To pray to God when he is in difficulty is a natural instinct in every living being because he is eternally related with God. But after his deliverance, the child forgets the difficulty of birth and forgets his deliverer also, being influenced by Maya, the illusionary energy. It is duty of the guardians of children to revive the divine consciousness dormant in them. The then process of reformatory ceremonies are enjoined in the Manusmriti, which is which is the guide to religious principles, which which is the guide to religious principles, are meant for reviving the God consciousness in the system of Varnashrama. However, no process is strictly followed now in any part of the world, and therefore 99.9% of the population is Naradama. When the whole population becomes Naradama, naturally all their so-called education is made null and void by all powerful energy of the physical nature. According to the standard of Gita, a learned man is who sees on equal terms the learned Brahmana, the dog, the cow, the elephant, and the dog eater. This is the vision of the true devotee. Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who is the incarnation of Godhead as divine Master delivered the typical Naradamas, the brothers Jagai and Madai, and showed how the mercy of a real devotee is bestowed upon the lowest of the mankind. So the Naradamas, who is condemned with the Supreme Personality of Godhead can again revive his spiritual consciousness only by the mercy of devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in propagating the Bhagavad Dharma or activities of the devotee, has recommended that the first people submissively hear the message of the personality of Godhead. The essence of this message is Bhagavad Gita. The lowest among the human beings can be delivered by this submissive hearing process only. But unfortunately, they even deny giving an oral reception to these messages. And what to speak of surrendering to the will of the Supreme, the lowest of mankind will fully neglect the prime duty of the human being. The next class of this Sukritin called as Maya Aprahata Jnana, or those persons whose erudite knowledge has been nullified by the